A few years ago I played a game. It was a prologue, very interesting and intense, but not that good. Borderline buggy maybe. Now I was just browsing about and noticed that very game just released as version 1. The game is called Winter Survival and it is very difficult. I played games like that in the past and usually it basically means you will die eventually but try to survive as long as possible. But this one stands out differently. It adds a mental aspect. The cold, wolves, the bear and every other horror you encounter starts weighing on you. Maybe a bit like Don't Starve. So knowing how hard these games can be, I really took the time checking out the how to play section, which has a very extended wiki with animated visuals about all the tips and tricks you need. And then I started the story mode, not on easiest of course, as most survival aspects are removed, but just the average difficulty. I read the Steam reviews, they were mixed and mostly pointing towards the game not explaining enough. I think those are old reviews, both the how to play section and the first introduction mission explained much more than any of the games like this I played in the past. So this is absolutely excellently done. The introduction really introduced the wolves, not as dangerous as I thought, as long as you smell good I guess, because then you can just crouch past them. The bear, however, was a different story. When finally hidden in a cave, I happily started a fire and cooked some meat while the bear comes barging in, stealing my food and having me to cower into a shelter. Not only then, but also when I finally sleep, the bear comes back and I have to run for the hills. By now I got the basics under control and I get freedom to scavenge and find some food to survive, carrots and materials for fire, and all that is missing is some heat, which can be found in hot springs. Around the hot springs many mushrooms and salt deposits open potential to future culinary perfection, but not before having to run for wolves. Being outside with a torch in the middle of the night is not the best place, plus it is freezing cold. A little woodcutter's hut vastly expands my arsenal, as both around and inside are much more firewood, berries and cloth. The loom inside also provides upgrades for my gear to stay warm. That is, as long as you keep your clothes dry, because wet clothes are worse than bear attacks when it freezes. There is also a fireplace and a bed as well, so as long as there is food you could survive the whole winter. If not for your terrible inventory space and of course limited food supply. Your backpack is left behind when running from the bear, so retrieving that will triple the inventory space, not to mention add canteens and flashlights, more tools for survival. When walking away, a beeping sound is heard, and with 9 rope pieces made from tall grass, you can lower yourself into a cave where a walkie-talkie is found. It does give a signal, but first getting out of the pit is the new priority. A pitch black cave system will surely destroy your sanity, so switching to the torch and having a backup torch is wise and luckily very cheap to craft. Carefully go down the mountains, fall damage is absurdly short, and can result in an insta-death or a sprained ankle which needs a leg brace to heal. Eventually sanity may become too low and a negative perk must be chosen. For me most were too annoying and seeing one that just showed dead prey animals was fine by me. They'll last a few days before they wear off. Doing anything really also increases your experience and you then get new adaptations, literally adapting you to the winter. With tools and ingredients adding more things to craft and the adaptations, surviving isn't that hard overall. For now. Exploring around is quite rewarding. The land provides generously and even wolf dens can be plundered for fresh, probably, meat. Water can be refilled by standing close to a water source with, for example, your canteen, but also berries provide some of both. Food is easier to find, do also many canned food sources, at least in the story mission. I can't help but wonder about the reviews. The story mission must have not existed back then, as the game is as clear as ice water to me. This is the risk of early access on Steam. You can ruin your game easily when launching too soon. And you may need a miracle to climb out of the hole you dug yourself. Not to mention, the early sales will cost you many more sales once you have a decent product. But then good products should sell themselves. They currently have a good product, so now just getting good marketing and reviews to fix it. Or maybe ask the bad reviewers to check back on the game now. A great feature is that you can craft while the mats are in the chest. After waiting for early morning by sleeping in the woodcutter's hut, an expedition to find the walkie-talkie signal leads me straight to a wolf den. You can activate Survivor Sense, which highlights objects, and since I keep it up a lot of time, stamina is a thing to keep track of, depicted as a green bar. You can't fight or shoo wolves away with your torch without stamina, nor climb to your safety, so always keep some of the bar left. The many dens can be plundered, but only at night the wolves leave the dens, so that will prove difficult. Finding the source of the signal now, and finding Mike, which was my partner, who ignores me and just runs off. Is it another illusion? Am I going crazy already? Another cave provides more batteries and a cooking pot, which is great for making proper meals and giving real buffs. And also a frying pan is found, but I don't have too much recipes for that. Wooden cups, however, can be made easily in a workbench, and the mushrooms and the water can be combined into a nice tea. The main quest seems to lead me into increasing danger, but gives you ample time to ignore it and stay in a safer area, which is kinda comforting, and also the abundance of resources makes survival not at all that hard. You can use stone piles to make markers, and one is in front of the woodcutter's house, and this helps you see it on the radar. There's no map of sorts, so the markers are very important. And brave as I was, I woke up a bit earlier to plunder the wolf den close to the woodcutter's hut for fresh meat. Finding more books will add recipes to your collection as well, and finally finding your first axe is a game changer as it opens up a lot of doors. It can be used as a weapon, but it's not very effective. Fighting wolves is tricky and requires a dark soul precision in dodging or blocking. Especially with an old axe that needs a lot of hits, and dodging may not be hard, but your stamina is running out and then hitting back is extremely hard. Once you feel ready, you can go survival instead of story, and there's also a cold wave, but don't kid yourself, you are not ready. Survival will give you all the freedom you need, and there are many options to determine your own difficulty. And here you may be bound to sickness, like needing syrup to suppress it. But you can fight with pointy sticks, which will be very effective in hunting deers and defending yourself. And of course there will be better weapons later, but everyone needs to start somewhere. And this review is just the first days, and there's much more to come. I think the game is currently an excellent survival game, not overly difficult to get into, and will guarantee hours of challenging gameplay and exploration. And therefore I recommend this game, and I leave the rest for you to explore. So I see you next week in the next First Look Weekly, where we explore a hidden gem, new release, or maybe even controversies. Every Saturday on Forgotten Games.